last two remaining candidates for city manager on Tuesday. It looked messy, but that's what deliberative democracy is like, especially on high-stakes votes. It would have looked more suspicious if the council were in lockstep, especially in this case. Instead, we had two council members, Teresa Pontieri and Ty Miller, staking out the difficult but correct position. Why settle for anything less than the stellar candidate they have been seeking? We had another, Dave Sullivan, refusing to lend his vote to anything non-unanimous, even if it meant sacrificing his preferred candidate. We had a fourth, Charles Gambaro, who set aside his natural predilection for leaders from the military as he went for the civilian, then stood firm against the mayor's pressure to switch. We even had the fifth, Mayor Mike Norris, willing to go either way for the sake of a decision, though that would have been more capitulation than decisiveness. Compromise is essential on most decisions in government. This was not one of those decisions. Clear-eyed leadership distinguishes between compromise and surrender. 4 council members showed that leadership Tuesday. The city manager decision will not be half-baked. Let's hope they stick to that resolve. As of this writing, one of the last two dropped out. Of course he did. It's the obvious, the necessary thing to do when a majority of a board votes against you, especially when you are near the tail end of a threadbare list whose top choices dropped out a long time ago. The question is, why is Rich Huff still in it? The desperation is concerning. If it's not desperation, it's obstinacy, and that's even more concerning because it reflects a damn the torpedoes temperament unsuited for a civil local government. If there is pressure to appoint a manager, it's artificial. Let's not take our cues from the misinterpretation of public comment segments at council meetings. Every time the council has discussed the city manager hire, the chamber has been mostly empty. Contrary to the mayor's misconception, empty chambers are not a show of indifference. They're an endorsement from the city's 100,000 residents that the council can do what it was elected to do. Take care of business while the 100,000 take care of theirs. Thoughtful people do show up to address specific issues, then they leave. They don't recycle. That leaves the floor to reuse commenters, the same misinforming and disinforming dregs who monopolize the lectern. These are not dissenters, challengers, or insurgents, which every government does need. They're gadfly demagogues. They keep blabbering on about corruption and forensic audits, or the utility or the legitimacy of Charles Gambaro's appointment. They're now spreading the false rumors that a staff exodus is underway at City Hall. I checked the numbers. It's not. But they keep spitting falsehoods, slandering city staff, and shrilling to the old propagandistic standard. Repeat a lie often enough, and people will start believing it. They're Mike Norris's Amen Corner. They represent a cult, not a majority. As Sullivan put it, the city is not in crisis, nor is the administration lacking leadership. Lauren Johnston has the council's and the city's confidence to manage City Hall. The council should see her as the regent the city needs right now, until the council gels and restores the kind of reputation that draws 120 applicants next time it searches for a city manager, not 38. Johnston is running a sturdy ship, and it's not the Titanic. This is Pierre Tristam, editor of Flagler Live, your 24-hour online news source. Thanks for listening.
Brian McMillan, Free for All Friday for the second day of May. Coming up, it's the Run for the Roses, 151 years of horse racing. So what about Pierre? Is he right or wrong? Is the city in trouble? He says, not so much. What do you think?
Good question. I mean, is the city in trouble? There's definitely a lot of turmoil that is justifiably making a lot of headlines. And so I guess you could say there's a lot of trouble in that way. But as far as like, how's the city operating? You know, you drive around, to me, my water is perfectly fine. The city looks beautiful as always. And so I think, I still think Palm Coast is a great place. So
is it, are we where we are because we don't have a city manager, we don't have leadership and kind of inmates running the asylum, do you think?
Well, no, not necessarily, because I think that it's really about its relationship between city council and city manager also matters a lot. If the city council hires somebody, I don't know that, yeah, it's a good question. I think that the time will tell if the city council, whoever they hire, still, respects and wants to get along with. I mean, Mayor Mike Norris said that he believes that as a mayor, he should be able to request resignations if he loses confidence. Is that going to change if there's a new city manager? I don't know. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound like it. He's being very clear in what he feels. That
yes, Mike Norris believes.
This is the surprise. That was the surprise.
Well,
no one knows that you're here, Pierre.
He's Pierre.
No one knows you're here yet.
We're going to surprise everybody with you.
Oh, I didn't know. I just
Well, Pierre, Tristam, Flagler live in the studio today. By the way, you're listening on the radio. That's great. Most people do. But you can also now, we're live on WNZF Facebook page with video. Also, Flagler Radio YouTube channel, if you're a YouTube person. And if you're not, just go to the Flagler Radio app or website and click on it, and there we are. Pierre doesn't like cameras, I know, but you look
gotta
great
hold
today.
your hand up so that
No,
the
you're
camera starts following
looking
you.
sharp.
we're not
there.
supposed to be on camera.
Sure we are. This is the new. This is 2025.
Yeah, tell that to the Wesh reporters. Okay. Anyway, well, hey, I'm not a big fan. I was a radio guy. I chose to not really go the TV way because I liked it.
Did you not buy these cameras?
Well, I kind of
Because
was forced.
TV is not serious.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the city of Palm Coast. You know, where are we right now? Where do we need to get to? How do we get there? What are the obstacles to it? And how quickly can we do that? And when I say, are we a ship without a captain on it?
We have to decide. Is the city
in trouble?
Is the city in trouble or not? And I think it's pretty established that the show that we see at City Council is not reflective of the functioning of the city. The city is functioning pretty well. There are issues probably, at that city like in any city. But have we decided that the city is in trouble or not? And it is not. Otherwise, we would have issues that we could point to.
Yeah.
Meaning, as far as like, is the are the roads safe? If there's a pothole, does it get filled?
Look, they
things
just,
like that.
They just repaved, resealed my road, which didn't need it. I missed the old one. It was nice and nostalgic. they just repaved it with that fake sealant. They're trying to make it look better. They're paving all sorts of roads around the city. I mean, there are some that need it, no question. And the city does need more money invested in its street management fund, but that's more of a policy decision. That has nothing to do with what they're paying attention to.
All right. Well, let's ask the question to one of our Palm Coast City Councilmen, Dave Sullivan. Morning, Dave.
Good morning, Dave, Pierre.
Hello, Dave.
All right. So, hey, I know I'm not supposed to ask you this, but I am. How come you're not at the meetings? What's wrong with our Dave Sullivan?
Well, it's interesting, and I'll just do it quickly. I was fine. I went on a cruise after I left the county commission in November. I did a cruise, and I'd drove down to Naples and back. But anyway, right after I took over as city council, District 3, I started getting a pain in my eye. Went to my regular doctor. They sent me to the Florida Retina Institute, which is off Leanne Way here off Palm Coast Parkway. And I had a detached retina, which is a serious problem for your eye. It needs to be handled right away. So I had kind of surgery last Friday morning up in Jacksonville. Everything went fine. But in the meantime, for a week and a half, I have to put my head down in a 90-degree angle and do that 45 minutes out of every hour for a week and a half. So that's the reason I haven't been able to go to the council meetings, and did it via Zoom twice. The first time was a disaster because the audio wasn't working right. It worked fine yesterday. But I'll say, as bad as the 45 minutes every hour with your head face down, that meeting yesterday was worse.
Okay. All right. So we started off. The question is the city of Palm Coast in trouble, and Pierre was saying that you can't use the what you saw yesterday and these last few ones with Mayor Norris and all this fiasco and stuff going on, as that's not the way the city's operating. And are we? Let me ask you as commissioner, and you're new on there, but you do bring a lot of wisdom. Are we in trouble, and or aren't we? And where do we go from here?
As the cliche goes, the trains are running on time. The city is okay. It's working fine with the staff. By and large, it's doing a good job. Obviously, we have some difficulties and problems, but I agree with Pierre. I agree with Brian probably. The city is doing well. It's still a great place to live. And driving around, I just had my son here, my daughter here. They drive around and they say, hey, it's really a nice place. So I know we have problems, and I'm not denying that, but I agree.
Oh, so is the problem the mayor?
I think I don't think the problem is that we have a mayor. I think the problem is that we are supposed to have in the way the charters and the local charters go, we have what's called a weak mayor. Mayor is just one of 5 people that make policy decisions for the city. And right now, I think that the new mayor, and he is a new mayor. Remember, I was on the canvassing board. I'm one of 3 who signed off on the election that got him elected. So he's duly elected. I just think I think that he got started in the wrong direction, thinking maybe he had a little more ability to make decisions than he did. I'm trying to be as nice as I can here, and I don't think the mayor is doing the city overall any good right now, and that's the bad side of it.
Well, he still believes that he has that power. Yeah. He did not come off the idea that he doesn't have the right to fire people, or at least to demand their resignations, to have these closed-door meetings. And he makes stuff up all the time. I mean, he made stuff up yesterday, time after time. He's even making things up about that closed-door meeting that he was talking about needing because somebody supposedly had a quid pro quo with him over some development. And you know, you can't have somebody who's not willing to do his homework before spouting off from the dice. And he's not even willing to sit down with staff to prepare himself for meetings. That's not a mayor. I mean, that's just some showman.
I think, you know, and the handful of people that fight. Here's what I believe. I believe that he believes he is right. I believe that he believes that he is onto something and he's going to save the town and end up being the hero. I believe there's some mental incapacity here.
Well, I wouldn't go down that road.
Well,
It's not fair.
Well,
I mean,
I
it's
wonder
not.
because listen, when somebody lies, and Pontieri called him out. She said, "Stop lying." When you have somebody in that position that lies and is caught in them and doesn't admit to them, there's a category of that. Which is a mental disorder.
Well, I agree with you that he obviously, you know, we wish he wouldn't lie, which he does do, but we don't need to go down the road of mental disorder or not disorders.
Well, if we're going to do an ethics investigation and turn it over to the ethics, wouldn't there also be a reason to have them analyzed?
No, actually, no.
Think so.
The certainly not if you want to put it in the context of an ethics complaint, which itself is problematic because I'm not so sure that the venue is the ethics commission, but they certainly are not interested and would not touch the idea of mental acuity by any means.
I think all that distracts.
I'm taking it in somewhat of a defense, like, you know, he's doing the best he can. He doesn't know any better.
I think all that distracts from the exactly, and I didn't get to watch the entire meeting yesterday, but I tuned in for part of it, and I think that Teresa Pontieri's point toward the end of the meeting was setting aside all the HR complaints, setting aside any kind of, like, you know, any other interpretation of facts. The question is the charter violation. Does the mayor have the authority to do what? Does he believe that his authority is limited by the charter or not? And right. I think that if we put anything else is just kind of fodder for, you know, playing a martyr kind of a situation. And we get distractions by, like, well, all this is happening just because Mayor Norris supports the moratorium, all that kind of stuff. It really just comes down to, is it appropriate for him to tell a staff member that you should resign or not? In the charter, seems clear that that's not what the charter is designed to do. That's not what the mayor's role is. And he has not, any time that I've seen, shown any change in his attitude about it. Hasn't shown any remorse for it. He hasn't said, well, I really shouldn't have demanded the resignations. And he actually said, well, I didn't demand them, I requested them. Yeah. So he's just kind of is playing with those words like that. But if he were to say, I really shouldn't have requested in that meeting their resignations, things might be a little different, but they're not. He's doubling down on it. And the supporters, I think, are not necessarily, I don't know that they feel like they agree with him that, like, yeah, the charter is bogus. the charter was set up by ITT, and we don't even like ITT.
No. If you listen to the people who surrounded me yesterday, where I was sitting, no, they agree with him.
Yeah,
And they think that the
should
charter
clean house.
and they're taking. I heard that so many times, several times, like 6 times yesterday. Somebody said, "Well, why are they upset about his conduct? Look at Trump; he's fine, and we just go on, and we want just to act the way he would. Let's not be troubled by the way he acts, kind of thing." So
yeah, everybody believes, truthfully, when they get up there and they're emotionally speaking, regardless of the words, they're being emotionally honest in their beliefs of what is going on, whatever it is. I don't think there's anything to undermine or do. There's no purposeful intent to do damage to the city on anybody's part. I think everybody is up there, the mayor included, and his followers, that they believe this is something that needs to be done to make the city a better place.
whether there is an intent or not is at this point no more relevant, because he is doing damage to the city when he accuses staff members, high staff members, middle staff members of the kind of things he does, and uses his position, abuses his position to accuse them in public, to summon them the way I think was completely improper yesterday, to summon Regina Fuller to the front as a city manager. That should have been as a mayor, that should have been the city manager's right, not his. To start questioning staff like he did her, none of that is appropriate. And to then go on and make these invalid claims from his position in public without documentation, you're doing damage. You're damaging people's reputation, and you're obviously damaging the city's reputation, and that's resulting in the consequences we saw with the city manager, with the disastrous city manager hiring process, which was never going to go well from the start because of this.
Brian, go ahead, and then Dave Sullivan, hang in there. We're gonna some questions for you.
Well, I think that I think kind of what it shows is, like, if you're trying to accomplish something, then you have to go at it like, there's 5 people up here. So my job, if I want to steer the city in a certain way, and that's everyone's prerogative. Everyone's got a vision. They were elected for a certain reason, and a lot of people appreciated Mike Norris's vision, so they elected him, and I think we shouldn't ignore that. So the question is, how do we get where we want to get? And I think that it would be I think it would be healthy for Mayor Norris to maybe lay out the vision and try to understand what does he want. But the next step is, like, now persuade the city council members, and we're just getting a lot of 4-1s or whatever. And if there's no moratorium, if he wants a moratorium and that wasn't approved, so what's the next step? What other things could the city do? And we're having a strategic action, workshops coming up. All this stuff is going to be. That's the whole point of these next meetings. So a lot of good could happen from there, as long as we go into it. The city council does, not we, but as long as the city council goes into it looking for, okay, now let's collaborate and try to get something done.
And everyone is willing to help him. Mm-hmm. Everyone,
okay,
including media, including the administration.
And we offer him to come on the show here. He declines,
right.
But he's and Mike are always welcome.
Including, the administration is extremely willing to help him. The city council wants to work with him. He's created his own island.
So, Commissioner Dave Sullivan, where do you see we are right now, and where do we go? Because the next thing is Tuesday's city council meeting, and then we'll talk about that agenda a little bit. So, where are we right now, and what's next?
Well, okay. First of all, there was an independent investigation. Adam Branson, the lawyer, the independent lawyer, briefed on, and we were aware of that at a meeting prior to this, at which the city council, without the mayor in presence being there, voted 4-0 to give a no confidence vote to the mayor and to forward the investigation to the State Ethics Commission to get a second independent view of what's going on. I also asked Adam Brandon yesterday to reread his conclusion, which you guys have just gone over, which states the problems. And I agree that when he asked for the resignation of the city manager and the assistant city manager, that was the key issue as far as kind of the details of what the investigation was about. Now, so we've done that. We had the meeting yesterday, and absolutely nothing was decided. The only thing that was decided, even pushed the state ethics letter to Tuesday, and also Vice Mayor Pontieri asked that each of the statements in the independent report by Adam Brandon, that each person certify under oath that those statements are true. Now, so at that point, we go on, but it's going to be very difficult to conduct city business is every time we have a meeting, the first half hour is people who get up like they did yesterday and state their opinions about the mayor and the rest of it. So
let me ask you a question, okay, on the format. I realize that's built into it. The whole public comment, to me it seems like way too much public comment. I know they get up, they comment, something happens, they comment. I know Pierre's going, well, you like it that way, but it seems like it really.
No, you can't.
I think you need to have.
Yeah, you can't ever have too much public comment, and it's a reflection of who you have on the dice. In this instance, it's very often orchestrated. It's the same 6.5 dregs who go up and say the same things over and over. Most of them have no credibility, but you have to put up with it.
We can't forget.
You have to respond to it as well.
I agree with that, and that's the way these meetings have been run. I'm not going to say that. I want to go back. Well, it's the county. We did it this way. I'm not going to talk to that. But like it or not, we have the public comment. It always leads off the various meetings. So we're going to be faced with that. It's going to be hard, but I think as a city council member, I'm willing to go through that and then try to get work done. Remember that the mayor is the acting chair. He's not the acting. He is the chair of the council, and he has a lot to do with how the meeting proceeds. In order for it not to go the way he wants it to go, we have to challenge that, and that ends up in another vote and so on and so forth. But I wanted to finish my other point. The council, including me, based on those 4-0 votes, that's about as far as we can go based on the charter as far as what we can do in regards to the mayor or any member of the council. It has to go to higher authority if any further action is to be taken. So I'm afraid, I'm not going to say I'm afraid, I think that we're going to go on the way we are now. I think the staff can do their job. And I think we'll go on with at some point in the future, we'll go back and look for a new city manager, hopefully when things settle down a little more. And that's where we are. I'm willing to accept that role. And I'm afraid that's the way things are going to be for a while.
I think, thank you for that perspective, Dave Sullivan. I think that one of the struggles or one of the ways forward, build bridges of understanding, right? So I think that it's counterproductive to say that the 6 people who get up are dregs, and it's kind of like, we're going to kind of like, okay, let's get this out of the way. Let's move on. Mayor Norris was elected. So there's not just 6 people. There's thousands and thousands of people who feel that Mayor Norris was the right person to lead the city. And it's because, and if we just ignore that there are some problems that at least a lot of people perceive, then we're never going to move forward. So the question is, what is the problem? And sometimes we need more facts, and sometimes there are decisions that maybe in the strategic action plan moving forward can be addressed. And so maybe there's things that can be really, improved. And here I have a couple of numbers I want to share. This is from a memo from Ray Tyner, Deputy Director of Community Development, to Lauren Johnston and Jason DiLorenzo, the Chief of Staff, analyzing the Palm Coast Park DRI, the Development of Regional Impact. It's 4,700 acres. It's like the northwest whole part of the city, west of US 1 and some east of US 1. But this is a huge development that is currently under construction. Like KB Home has Somerset going up there. There's a lot of homes under construction there. the question is has the city council in the past allowed for more and more homes to be built despite a lack of infrastructure? That seems like that's really the big issue that a lot of people say. And are they right? That's the question. And are there facts and numbers that we can say to kind of address the issue? First of all, the wastewater treatment is not the only way that it's over capacity is when there's a huge storm. And that did happen. And the DEP said, you got problems, you need to build a new one. So we approved a huge bond to do it. So as far as the capacity of our infrastructure, we're actually going to be fine. We're not over-promising to developers. We have the capacity that we need.
And there's plenty of drinking water.
There is plenty of drinking water. Now, going back to the DRI and this memo from Ray Tyner, in 2004, the original plan for this DRI said that there would be 3,600 units. Now, there's 6,400 units. So there have been more units approved. And this is kind of like shifting around. Like there's kind of general ideas of what it would be. It wasn't like set, like there's going to be homes here. It's kind of like a big malleable plan. So there's 3,600 homes originally in 2004. There's 800,000 square feet of office space, 1.5 million of commercial, 800,000 of industrial. So while the homes that have been that are allowed have gone up from 3,600 to 6,400, the office space has gone down almost by half. 800,000, now there's only about 486,000 of office space. So it's down about 40%, let's say. Retail commercial was at 1.5 million square feet. Now it's at just over 1 million. So that went down by 30% in favor of doing more homes. Meanwhile, though, this is something that has been reported or has been claimed a lot of times and is actually incorrect based on what I'm seeing here. There were 800,000 square feet of industrial, 800,000 square feet of industrial in 2004. Now there's 1.1 million of industrial. So the amount of industrial has actually gone up in the Palm Coast DRI. That's something that we should be talking more about. The city council over the past 20 years has not taken away industrial land. It's actually added more industrial in that DRI at least. But there have been more homes. So I think that we need to understand, like, okay, was that a good path? A lot of office and commercial people, like, working. There's a lot of discussion, like with Amazon. Do we need as much commercial? Do we not? Maybe the market's not there for as much commercial. So the commercial land has gone down, 1.5 million down to 1 million square feet. Was that a good move? I mean, that's the facts given at the time with the city council in the past 20 years. Now going forward, what do we do now? Do we think that we still want to keep adding residential, or do we not? Or what do we do with this industrial? So I think that if we talk about those kind of numbers and a little bit less about, swamp builders, swamp peddlers, and things like that, let's just talk about now what can we do about it.
All right.
And one amendment, since you're all capitalists and you all believe in the market, the market decides what happens, right?
Yeah, we like money.
Yeah. Now, beyond the slogan, nothing to do with money. Beyond the slogan, if you have 2 billion square feet of commercial, it doesn't mean that the commercial space is going to be filled. Look at town center. You've got plenty. It's not getting filled except in drips and drabs. If you have 2 billion square feet of housing and it happens to get filled, that means the demand is there. The demand has been there in Palm Coast for housing. And people keep coming and saying, this is where we want to be. And we're very happy with the fact that we're joining other people in all these housing tracts. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. Industrial is not going to, you can set all sorts of tracks for industrial, but you're not going to get it unless the market demands it, and it's not demanding it as much as housing. I don't see it as, everybody makes this in the city, makes this assumption that because we have too much housing and too little industrial, we're in crisis. Well, the tax base does not show that. and it
Okay.
hasn't shown it for 25 years.
Because our tax rate is very low.
The tax rate
Right?
is
It's
very
been low for a long time.
It's been yeah.
We've been so lucky and
since,
blessed.
since John Netz and before.
All right.
So we don't have an issue there, I don't think.
All right, Dave Sullivan, you've been listening to all this. Go ahead and give us your commentary.
Well, I'm not going to talk much about things that I'm eventually going to vote on, but I will say this. I think there are ways for the city council, if we're just talking westward expansion, I'm not the expert here, just coming in, but maybe there's ways to emphasize the commercial and industrial, not at we're still going to have housing come in, as Pierre indicates, but I think there are ways to emphasize and force timing that may help a little here to make sure that we get some industry, some commercial, maybe this time ahead of the housing. Now we'll see. None of this has been decided yet. Finally, we still have the comprehensive plan to go through, that kind of thing that can have impact on this. But without saying where we go, I think there are ways for the council, in a reasonable, logical way, can force the ship to go in a direction that we want.
All right.
That hopefully will satisfy some of the concerns about building and overbuilding.
All right, so make it simple for us, and we're going to let you go. We got to take a commercial break. So getting the ship right now where it is, give us the A, B, and C. What are the next 3 steps that need to be done, in your opinion, to get us on track, as far as actions taken by the city council?
Well, I think there are a series of votes that we're going to take now, and we're going to have to do it without a new city manager. We're going to have to stick with the acting city manager we have, probably through the budgeting process. So we've got a number of things like comprehensive plan, that kind of thing, that have to get out of the way, strategic plans, all that kind of thing, and the budget. Once that's done, we then go on to probably a new attempt to find a city manager, and we have to at least get the situation regarding leadership, the mayor. We have to at least get that to the point. Hopefully Brian has laid out some thoughts on that, because I'm afraid no matter what we do at the council, I believe that Mayor Norris, as far as I can see, will be there as the chair of the board every time we have a meeting. So I think we have to deal with that, and as best we can. I wish I had an easy answer on all this, but I don't. But I think that we have to keep things going. The staff is doing a good job, and I think we get through the next 3 or 4 months.
Okay, all right.
Dave, were you in fact born in the United States?
Was I?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, are you in fact a Christian as opposed to a Lebanese Muslim?
Yes.
Are you sure? Because, those rumors are beginning to creep out there.
Oh, well, yeah, I know.
Well, anyway, that's the sort of absurd comments that we're getting. It's that level of comments that we're getting at the city council, and that's why I'm saying that it's kind of ridiculous to take them seriously.
But somehow I've survived a lot of that over the years, and I've been here for 24 years. I love Palm Coast. I want nothing but good to happen here. I've committed my life to that at this point.
Yeah, you survived Joe Mullins.
What?
You survived Joe Mullins.
Okay, Pierre.
All right. Hey, Dave, have a great weekend. Hope your eyeball gets better, and we look forward to seeing you in person on the dais at our Palm Coast City Council meetings.
We should be fine.
All right. Okay. Great. Thanks for being a good sport.
All right.
Nobody else would come on with Pierre, but other than Dave Sullivan today. All right. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. We have another mystery guest, and we've got Pierre in the studio. He's no longer a mystery, and Brian McMillan, and we've got you listening. We'll be right back.
Are you wondering if that old paint in your garage is still any good?
Bring it in. We'll let you know.
And while you're at it, if you need to match a color,
Chip off some paint and bring it in.
our color matching is unmatched.
Benjamin Moore, corner of Old Kings and Utility Drive.
Palm Coast.
The best fun place on Flagler Beach. Charlie D's Beach Bar and Grill.
Happy hour 7 days a week from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. with $3.25 wells and selected domestic bottles.
Hi, this is Ashley Katz of Serenity Realty Group. Managing properties can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. My team and I take pride in providing top-notch service to both owners and tenants. Call me today at 386-221-2255. Serenity Realty Group. Peace of mind, one property at a time.
Hi, this is Pastor Charles Solano. Here's a few food facts that might surprise you. There are over 135,000 people living in Flagler County. Many families go hungry because of health and various financial hardships. Every month, our food pantry gives 6,500 families a $150 box of food. If you do the math, 150 times 6,500 is almost $1 million a month that can be spent locally on other needs. Thank you for donating to the $1 Million Foodathon. Go to gracecommunityfoodpantry.org.
Free for All Friday, live and in living color on our YouTube channel, Flagler Radio YouTube channel. Also on the WNZF Facebook page, video live, and of course radio, Alexa, streaming, all kinds of things. We've started called restreaming the Palm Coast City Council meetings, which is good because yesterday the city's YouTube channel had a little over 1,000. Ours combined were about 1,000. And I think that's good that if there's 2,000 people watching at least part of it and they're engaged, I think that's a healthy thing that people can at work on their phone. You can stream it off of, you can watch it in a lot of different ways. So I think
it's not always healthy when government is entertainment instead of business.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's like a reality show right now. But anyway. So what have we gathered so far with our discussion and with Dave Sullivan? Kind of what you had said, Pierre, that, a lot of things are functioning. Like he said, the trains are running, the water's flowing, the toilets are flushing. Our staff is intact. I think they could use a little more love and support from the community and appreciation for what they do. So what's the answer? What do you think? What would Mayor Norris have to do? We're always talking about, well, what are we going to do? What's the council going to do? Well, how could Mayor Norris, fix this?
If you have the last 2 minutes of yesterday's city council meeting where Lauren Johnston spoke, that's what he has to do. She summed it up better than anybody. She spoke like she was some Roman senator from 2,000 years ago with an eloquence I have rarely heard at the city council in an environment where you really would not have expected this. So she showed a strength of character and calm that is exactly the prescription you need and that Norris needs to hear, as well as his sycophants in the audience. But I don't think that they heard that.
Yeah, because after she read it, after she did it.
I didn't hear the whole thing.
It was very compelling and common sense, and this is it. And it came from her heart because she kind of said, this is from my heart, not as a city manager. That basically we all need to get along. We're all here for the same purpose of, I hate to paraphrase something that she did like you did so eloquently, but let's all get along. Let's all get together. Let's work together because we're all here to make this a better city in so many words. And when she was done with it, I thought that was a perfect chance for Mayor Norris to say, thank you. That was really, but he goes, okay, like it was a public comment or something.
But that's why, like Brian said, we're not getting the sense that he is getting the message that he has to do something as well in order to improve matters.
Well, you say he's isolated. You talk about him isolating himself more.
It's very personal for him right now. You can. It's people are trying to take him down. That's what he's stating, and
it's convenient, isn't it?
The problem is that it's a lot of there are shadowy figures that are trying to do this. There's developers that are not being named. There's organizations that are not being named. So it's kind of it's impossible to get past it unless we can kind of put that in the sunshine, which again is why I think Teresa Pontieri, again, came across really well yesterday or on Tuesday in the meeting, it was on Thursday, I guess, yesterday. But basically saying, no, we can't do something behind closed doors. It needs to be in the sunshine. And I think that there's been a lot of use of that term this is against the sunshine, like we're violating the sunshine.
But okay, well let's talk
the
about
one, he's the one who was wanting to violate sunshine yesterday with that secret meeting.
Yeah, well, and let's talk about the quid pro quo. To me, that means, hey, you do something for me, I'll do something for you. And in business, that happens all the time. But in government, that's illegal, right? I mean, you can't, as a city official, but, if this happened to him. All right, so here's my whole concern, is if he blurts out the name of the developer that offered him quid pro quo, I mean, that could spark all kinds of lawsuits, particularly, if it's another lie.
Right. And that's why he didn't want to have this in the open. Plus, his witness is his wife, apparently, it's like Joe McCarthy in Palm Coast. I mean, seriously, but. Pontieri stopped him. I mean, we're not going to have that sort of thing. And the city attorney really came into his own yesterday and let him know that, those things, you just don't have that right to do these closed door meetings.
I don't know why the statements given to the Lawson law firm need to then be reiterated under oath. I mean, not they have to repeat them, but I don't understand why they had to. Is that not sufficient to send it to the Ethics Commission based on the report that's there?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand why that would be necessary.
Basically, we just want the truth here, and be careful what you say, maybe. But, well, okay, so they'll vote on all that. So Tuesday meeting, 6:00, I think it is. All right, that's the evening one for next Tuesday.
Well, they're supposed to talk about the city manager at that meeting because the how white paper that he was assigned. That's the last city manager candidate standing. And as you recall, they were both assigned white papers on budgeting. One of them dropped out. The other one was supposed to continue, but he's not writing the paper. He's been told by the consultant not to do it and to wait on direction by the city council, which we were hoping to hear yesterday. And it seems like they're coalescing, or they should coalesce, around the idea that, well, let's just put everything on pause and keep with Lauren Johnston for now.
Let me ask you a question, all right? Because we don't have a utility director either, right? Really? I mean, we don't have. So, and he's got Richard Huffey has, utility. Why not we say, hey, look, he wanted to move here. He seemed like a nice guy. We had him on the air. Well, why not offer him a utility director position?
I don't think he's in public works. He's not really dealt with that sort of operation before. I mean, I don't know if you want to just conflate the two that easily. It's a very particular kind of business, and you have to know so much about regulations that are changing very fast as well, that it's a different world, and they should just get a utility director who's done the job. And we need to stop being everybody's guinea pig. We can't be training people in order to be the position that they're occupying. That's what gave hesitance to Miller and Pontieri regarding these two candidates. They would have been guinea pigs for their future city manager skills, which they then would end up using elsewhere.
In my opinion, if we end up with Lauren Johnston for another year, it's going to be fine.
Well, I'd like to end up with Lauren Johnston for another 5.
Yeah, she just doesn't live in Palm Coast.
Yeah,
that would be a charter amendment.
I offered my son's room that she could lease.
Okay.
And I have not yet heard back.
So when your son comes back from college, hey, we rented your room out, right?
Where he can be in my reading room.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, now this is the way I would do public comment. It's now time for public comment. Sir, please step up to the it's not a podium. You stand on a podium. It's actually a lectern, right?
Lectern.
A lectern. Yeah. Anyway, but it always says podium.
The Observer uses podium, but their English is sometimes iffy.
It's true.
All right. Well, please step up to the podium, state your name and your comments. Go ahead, sir.
I guess this is my cue.
That would be it.
Hello, my name is David Ferguson. I've been involved in Palm Coast since 2003 when I first invested in property. I've been a full-time Palm Coast resident since 2012. And most of you listening may have heard my name before because I'm not bashful with sharing my opinion. But I don't know what you expect me to say because a lot's been said. I said a lot myself. I watched yesterday's proceedings, and I felt like I was watching the movie A Few Good Men at times.
Well, the reason I did ask you, first of all, your name is on the wall on a bronze plaque at the City Council chambers, right?
Yeah, I'm proud of that because I was part of the council that decided we need a better place to meet than where we were meeting. It was kind of embarrassing to meet at that for workshops over at, I don't even know what the name of the place is called, this Cypress something or other over there. And then we met in the old community center. And, they had 2 urinals there in the bathroom that were built back with ITT. So I thought it was a good move that we have a better place to meet. And I think we're in a better place now with the building. But anyway, I don't know what the answer is with the current situation, but it can't go on like this. I think I've read in the media where, things have to change. Either the mayor comes to the point where he realizes that he's powerless in his present capacity. He doesn't have the support of the other 4 council members, and he doesn't have the authority that he thinks he'd like to have. And it comes down to that. Until he realizes what his role is, which frankly is more ceremonial than it is picking and choosing the 2 people that he can pick and choose, the city manager and the city attorney. He can't fire people without the consensus of the council. So until he realizes what his limitations are, we're going to be in this quagmire.
But you just summed it up, Dave. If you said that he is isolated and he is irrelevant, then we're not really in a quagmire. The city is getting things done. The 4 have got their head in the right place, and things are moving. The question is whether he wants to be part of it or not. And if he doesn't, who cares?
Well, you want some dignity when you elect somebody. He's big on this mandate of why people elected him. And I got to share this. I got involved in the planning department and the planning board because I wasn't happy with all the houses popping up and all the land being cleared. And, I'm with the mayor with slowing things down. But you got to do it judiciously. You just can't come in there and say we're going to shut everything down.
So what is a way? What is a way? You're saying you want to slow things down. So what is a path forward if for those who feel the same way that you do? And again, I think there are a lot. What is a way to quote unquote slow things down?
I think I thought of an idea. I don't know how relevant it is, but when you clear a lot or clear an area, you have to perform and build something, not keep it blank for a period of time. I know in certain developments, if you buy a lot, you have to build in a certain period of time. You can't clear cut stuff and plan for 300 houses. You have to have a timetable for building and selling those properties, I think.
So if you don't hit a deadline, then you got to replant trees?
Either that or reapply for the right to build.
That sounds like a good idea. I don't know.
I mean, that is in place, except that the deadlines are very, very generous.
20 years.
But I'm not sure.
I don't know what they are.
I'm not sure that get us to where we are, because if you clear a lot and you don't build, you've still achieved what you want to achieve, which is less building. So what's the difference other than we've lost more canopy?
Well, I liked Palm Coast when I bought in 2003. It was a sleepy little town without a radio station. And
those were the days. No.
Yeah, we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, but we don't have the right to say, as people who have bought into Palm Coast, we don't have the right to say we're the last ones. And nobody else has the right to have what we have.
ITT did that. They plotted out 45,000 lots. They didn't clear them all. They just left them all. So we all, most of us who live in Palm Coast proper, I bought a house, and down my street is a lot of wooded, lots. A lot of,
and that's where the majority.
We're not talking about those lots. We're talking about the Roberts Road, where there's been a deforestation. We're talking about the Royal Palms deforestation.
Right.
We're
so
talking
Palm Coast
about
did it
the
right.
other
ITT did it right.
But they're building there, and that's where the majority of the development is happening. It's actually the ITT lots, 7,000 of which are still unbuilt, and that's where most of the building, 70%, if I remember, is taking place, you cannot tell those property owners you may not build. Those are entitled lots.
Since 2000,
Yeah.
there's been about 32,000 homes built in Palm Coast. 25,000 of them are ITT lots.
Yeah, and that's continuing. The trend is continuing.
Well, it's sometimes you got to leave town to appreciate what you have. I went down to Boca Raton and went to the Hard Rock over last weekend, and you get off and like I say in Boca Raton and Fort Lauderdale and all that, and it's really nice. But then when you come back here to Palm Coast, you get off and you see the sign and traffic is there's a lot of traffic, but it's flowing. It's not anything like in the bigger cities, and the reason why is because people like being here. I think most people, it's a little annoying compared to what it used to be. But if you look at it through the eyes of people who have just arrived, who have, they bought their lot years ago for their retirement. They've reached the age. They have their money. They're all excited. They sold their property up north. They've moved to Florida. They picked out Palm Coast, the perfect, beautiful place with parks and recreation and beaches and nice people here. And, and they really appreciate it. It's very refreshing to talk to somebody who is new here and looking at it through their eyes, because where they came from, the traffic was all congested and in a mess. And right here, I think sometimes we got to count our blessings.
It used to be that there was no rush hour in Palm Coast.
True.
Now there is rush hour in Palm Coast, but you can't. It's unrealistic to have a city with no rush hour for very long. If it's a nice place to live, we're not going to build roads so big that we eliminate any possible rush hour. That just can't happen. It might be that with more,
there are design issues in the old Palm Coast that are going to be problematic, because obviously we're going to add a lot more people and the roads can't be changed. That's going to be an issue. We're just going to have to live with it.
I think having a workshop about traffic would be a really healthy thing. How much traffic do we have? What do the numbers say? What can we do about it? Is there anything we can do about it? And so let's make a plan to do something about it if they can. And if not, then let's say, okay, well, that would cost $1 billion. So we're either going to have to live with this or we're going to have to do this with our taxes, and let's make a decision about it. And right now, I think it's just a lot of angst about the problem, and there's not enough talk about what's the solution.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, good discussion. Pierre, thanks for coming in this morning. Good to have you live and in person. And, we'll do that a little more. And, he goes, oh, no cameras, but we told him how good he looked, and he sat down anyway. So, Brian, we got a tripod for you. He was stacking his 2 Kleenex boxes with the camera to get the right angle. Is that the right angle for you?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's still a little bit down. I think I'll try another one, another Kleenex box next time.
Hey, also, I got a shout out to the Matanzas Pirates girls softball team. They are going to be playing in the state championship on May 8th, which is the first time ever in the history of it. And they have an all-star. I don't really know, our sports department is onto it, but the girl that is pitching, she's already been drafted by University of Florida, so she'll be a Gator. And she has such a pitch that nobody can hit it, basically. You know what I'm talking about?
Not exactly. We've written some stories about her. Leah Stevens, I believe, is who you're talking about.
Cancer survivor, and just like a great, story of success and exciting. And that's what's going on here. And, we need to be talking. So anyway, we're going to be televising that game, the softball game, live. I think they're playing it at Matanzas. That'll be on our YouTube channel. Play-by-play with our sports department. They've just done a great job getting multiple cameras and we've got the play-by-play down with the audio. We've been doing that for years, which is good. Now you can watch it. And the cool thing is the kids that are playing, their families up north or wherever they are can watch it. And it's, recorded, archived for the rest of their life. It can be part of their, resume or whatever they're doing.
Maybe some of that family up north would want to move down to Palm Coast.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Or maybe they should. I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't.
Yeah, it's amazing that people still want to move here.
Yeah, I know.
With all that horror going on, all that, all those conspiracies, all that corruption. Oh my, it's like Tammany Hall. Why would you want that?
Keep it all in perspective.
Focus on solutions.
Yeah. Count your blessings.
Count your blessings.
Be grateful, and we'll do our best to keep bringing it to you, and the good news and the bad is whatever it is. Pierre, Flagler Live. Thanks, buddy. All right, Brian, have a good one.
Also, Songwriters Festival this weekend.
Oh, yes, thanks. And here's some country music, right? Matter of fact, one of the songwriters that wrote this is going to be there.